Hello there. My name is Dustin DeBoer, and I am excited to be coming to you from Solid Rock Life and Family Coaching. And I am excited about you and the fact that you chose to spend your time with me and my first YouTube video. And why am I excited about you? Because I want to help other people excel in faith, family, and freedom, so that you could be a real success on the stage that matters most, your front door. And why am I so excited about that? Because I believe that if we here in our society would have strong, stable families, we could actually take care of a lot of things that are going on in our world. And I also believe in a four-letter word. It's a good four-letter word. And I believe that if we put this four-letter word to work, we could actually take on many different things. And what would that four-letter word do? Well, I believe it would do things like help us all relax, reflect, and rejuvenate. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, this four-letter word would do things like help us to realize what is really required of us, what would be our return, and what would be our greatest reward. And it would also help us to do things like love our neighbors. It would also help us to understand that each of us has value, dignity, and worth. It would also help us to do things like treat other people as we would like to be treated ourselves. And so it would do things like help us to realize that each of us is valuable. It would do things like help us to broaden our horizons, and that we'd all have a dream and that we could dare to put it to the test. And furthermore, it would help us to each realize that when we work together and come around good values, that when we're squeezed like we've been, that if we had good values, we could actually weather the storms of life. Now, how does this four-letter word help us? Let me show you. A book that I wrote in 2008 has literally been born. My book, Relax, Reflect, and Rejuvenate, the story of solid rock photography. I never would have guessed that in 2008, when I wrote this book, that it would be coming back around in 2020 at such a time as this. You see, I was approached about 2.5 months ago by Ligaya Publishing to enter my book into their contest. And I am actually blessed and privileged that they asked me to be a part of their contest. And I went through my process of relaxing, reflecting to see if my purpose of my book was actually something that should be in their contest. And then I rejuvenated with it. And I decided to say, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's actually put it in their contest. And then I had to understand, though, again, what the purpose of the book was. And I had to go through and really think, now, how can I use this contest to get the message of this book out to the public? Because it's not just about, seriously, liking a book cover. Because what can you just tell from just the book cover? Is this an inviting enough book cover that says, I want to like it? It could be. You could just like this book cover enough that you want to right now in the description down below this video. Yeah, down there. You could say, I like the way this looks. I think it's a cool book cover. You could pause the video right now and go do that. Now, if you're on the desktop, it looks different than it does on the mobile. Or I should say, if you're on a computer, it looks different than you are on mobile. And I'll show you that at the end of the presentation, which will be about an hour long. And I'm going to tell you all about holding tenaciously to the vision that I have, that I believe was given to me unconsciously way back when, about encouraging a reader to consider their very own story, about becoming people. Remember my emphasis that I told you at the beginning of helping other people excel in faith, family, and freedom, so that you, sitting across the table from me, could be a real success on the stage that matters most, your front door. I want to encourage you to become people who are alive, walking as if you're 6 feet above the ground, not below the ground. Because a rut is literally like being in the grave. It's just that the end of the grave is kicked out. I'd rather help you be a person who is up above the ground, walking as if you're actually alive, and have vim, vigor, vibrato, have some vivacity to life. Because if you're just walking around going up, ba-dum, 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 humdrum, yeah, I'm here. Life, it's just an existence. I've realized that life does not give you exactly just, it just doesn't happen. It gives you what you actually seek out of life. So if you want life, true life and excitement and living to abundance, you actually got to seek it. It doesn't just happen. You got to be intentional about life. You got to be willing to put your dream to the test. And if you don't have a dream, get around big dreamers. And I've learned that I want to encourage people. And so that's what I do on a daily basis. And my book, it's all about that. But again, my book is in a contest. And there's one thing that you can do to help. And that is take that link that's down below in the description and literally go out to Facebook and like my book cover. Because that's one way that this contest is run. The other way that the contest is actually run is that the editors of Ligaya are going to read my manuscript. And they are going to determine if they think it would be a great book to pitch to bigger publishers, as well as potentially to movie producers. And honestly, I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this. Because if they think my book would literally make for a good movie, I'm game. I'll see where it goes. But I need some helps with likes, because as of right now, I have 60, and the leader of the contest has 140. I think there's a little bit of a difference. And would you, because you are now watching this video, would you go out right now and like my book? And if not right now, maybe at the end of the presentation. Because literally, I'm building a community of love and acceptance and appreciation of values, of not accepting life as ordinary, but reaching for the extraordinary. One where traditional values, literally, of treating your neighbor as yourself, where everybody is created with value, dignity, and respect. And where it doesn't matter what color of skin, what your creed is, what your customs are. But because God doesn't make any junk. On my Facebook page with Solid Rock Life and Family Coaching, we have people from around the world. And I am so excited that people from around the world have liked Solid Rock Life and Family Coaching on Facebook. It's just a true blessing to have a community that's forming up of people from all customs and all codes and all creeds and all colors. And I couldn't be more excited about that. But I need your help. would you be willing to like my Facebook or like the post on Lagaya's Facebook page for my book so that I can get this message out there farther? I'd really appreciate it. What I'd like to do now is tell you about the gift that was given me early on of an unconscious implantation of a vision in the early years. My mother actually passed away in 2013 due to uterine cancer. And I'll tell you more about that as I tell you my story. And the vision that I believe was really given to me early on is a vision that I still hold to tenaciously. And I believe that as a leader, I have learned to adjust my plans while holding tenaciously, truly tenaciously, to a vision. One of the things that I have been given when my mother passed away was all of her journals. And this one right here looks like a boring, somewhat bland book until I explained to you that it literally has 25 years of my mother's perspective of life. Now, some may think that's bland, but it's 25 years of a mother's thoughts. I don't know about you, but that's worth money. Especially when in 2014, I got them. I didn't open them, honestly, for about 2 to 3 years, 2.5 years. And when I did, this is what I found. A book from my son, Dustin, to write as I desire. Christmas, 1975. I was born March 10th, 1975. And I didn't realize I was given gifts when I was a little baby. And so when I first read that, I was like, wow, I didn't know that I was giving my mom something that she truly desired. But it's pretty dang cool that she thought I did. And so I opened it to the first page. And this is what I then read. Having also hoped to write something for publishing, maybe can begin this way. It should be fun. At my beginning, the situation is this: married to a wonderful man, Arnie, mother of a daughter, Melissa, who is nearly 4, and a son, Dustin, who is nearly 9.5 months. I will write whatever seems worthy for keepsake. That was Mom. Little did I know at that point that Mom wanted to write a book for publishing. In 2008, Mom and I read this book, I swear, each 13 times in editing. It got old to read it that many times. But Mom never published anything. Melissa and I, her kids, did. Now, again, I didn't know that that's what Mom had written. But when I wrote my book in 2008, this is what I wrote. Relax, Reflect, and Rejuvenate is dedicated to my parents, Arnold and Jean DeBoer, and Pa and Grandma, Sid and Lillian Felty, who have inspired me to accept life not as it is, but rather reach for the extraordinary life available to all who ask for it. They also built in me a love of the outdoors and photography. Thank you, Pa and Grandma and my parents, for all you have done for me. I hope to give to others what you have given to me. Now, I don't know about you, but I definitely feel that at an early age, my mom gave me a desire to write. And I have held to that vision. But I also believe that early on, my parents and my grandparents gave me a desire for the outdoors and for photography. My sister also has been given those things. Now, let me share with you some of the inside story. Everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to play and pray in where nature may heal and give strength to body and soul. John Muir of the Wilderness Society. And God saw that it was good. Who said that? God did in Genesis 1:25. To relax, reflect, and rejuvenate means to. Now, if you were sitting across the table from me, literally here, I would ask you, what do you think that means? Now, I know what I believe it means. It's in my book. It's the first chapter. But my intention is not literally to read my book. Again, what is my point in this presentation? It's to let you know that my book's in a contest, and that the point of my book is to encourage others to consider their own story. And what do I want to do at this point? I want to, again, begin to help you to relax, reflect, and rejuvenate. And what I would truly love to do is to just take a few seconds and let your mind just relax. Take a look at this picture. I'll give you 10 or so seconds to just relax. I gave you a few more seconds. Where did your eyes go in this picture? Did they stay in the foreground, right in those trees? Did your eyes head up to the mountain, to the very top of Mount Rainier at 14,410 feet? Or did they trail off to the left where there's that dust in the air, which was a rockfall on the other side of the mountain? Or did they make your eyes all the way down to the edge of the mountain where there's a peaked roof, which is actually the Historic Hotel of America at Paradise Inn where I worked? Or did your eyes kind of drift down through the branches, through the trees, all the way down actually to the valley floor? Which, if you go down to the valley floor, and the distance between that and the top of the mountain is actually close to 9,000 to 10,000 feet. Never would have guessed probably that there's that much distance. Each of us have a different perspective of where we're at if we were to be sitting literally in this picture. And that's what's cool about this picture to me, is each of us would be at a different spot. And each of us is on a different journey. And I respect that. And I hope you do too. And as I go through my story, give me the latitude and the space to tell my story. And when you tell your story, I'll give you the latitude and the space to tell yours. In my book, I talk about the travels that we took as a family early on. And there's one story in which I was 2 and my sister was 5 that really, truly is a great story. And it was a trip that my dad and my mom took us on all the way from southern Minnesota, all the way out to Bangor, Maine. And what's really cool about that story is that we stopped at Newburgh, New York. And we visited relatives that were special to Mom. And that to this very day, I actually keep in touch with my third cousin, Linda Lou. Now, Mom's aunt and uncle were still alive, obviously back then, but they have since passed away. And now my mom has passed away. But yet I'm keeping in touch with Linda Lou. Why? Because I believe when I was 2, it was implanted in me how important family was. And Linda Lou has been a special person to me over the years. And furthermore, when we went up to Bangor, Maine, all the way up to Maine from Austin, Minnesota, small town USA, you heard me read that it was the 4 of us, my mom and dad, my sister and I. Mom was a registered nurse. Dad was in cement industry all his life. Mom and dad were great stewards of what was given to them. No, we didn't have a white picket fence around the house, but Mom did have her Victorian house. And over the years, there were many restoration projects, per se, of that house. And Mom, Dad taught my sister and I, how to work hard, how to be responsible, how to be good to our environment, how to raise vegetables, how to have a good flower garden, how to really be the people that we needed to be good people, how to respect everybody around us, no matter the color of our skin, no matter the customs, no matter the code. And I love being raised down there. And when we were on this trip, we got to experience many things. I believe it was that trip, though, that instilled family. And I believe it was also part of that trip that instilled appreciation for the natural world that we live in. But I also believe it was that trip and others that instilled in me a desire for the creator of the universe. And I believe that because to this day, those are things that I hold dear. And I point back to that trip and many others. For I've been in 43 states in my life, and most of that has been by pop-up tent trailer. Now, in the early days, we traveled by a pickup, that pickup pulled our pop-up tent trailer. After that pickup, it was a 15-passenger van. It was not a conversion van. It was a maxi van that pulled that trailer. 15-passenger van with a Bethany trailer behind it. Wasn't anything fancy, but we had a blast as a family. And like I said, my sister has all the camping journals. I have Mom's record journals. Those trips are all documented in my book in the early years. One of the things that's not totally in my book that I've later come to realize is a big part of my story is this. When I was 6, 9, and 12, there was a major transformation that happened in my life that give me some latitude. This is my story. It may not be your story, but this is sure a big part to the vision that's in my story. And I want to just share it with you real quickly. You see, as a Christian family, growing up, church and faith were really important to me. And even at the age of 2, I believe that was implanted in me. But when I was 6, walking home from church, we only lived 2 blocks from church, and usual questions were like, so what'd you learn? What'd you think? What are you feeling right now? And this 2-block walk seemed to take forever that Sunday morning. And when Dad and I and Melissa and Mom got home, Mom went into the kitchen and started working on Sunday meal. And so it was great, but I was still kind of wondering things. And so Dad and I ended up on the couch, and I had a 3-letter word problem. It started with S and ends with N and has I trouble in the middle. And I knew that this wasn't just a behavior or external problem, that this was something deep inside of me that needed to be fixed, but I couldn't fix it. I knew my dad couldn't fix it. I knew my mom couldn't fix it because we were all humans. And as humans, we can't fix it because we're imperfect. We've all fallen short of grace. And so I had to ask the Lord to fix it because I knew he was the only one that could truly take away my sin, because he was the perfect one who came from heaven to pay the penalty for my sin. But yet I was wrestling with that, and Dad helped me, and he led me to the Lord. And I so thank him for that. And then I ended up running out to the kitchen, waving my arms, happy as all get out, because I knew now that since the rest of my family was Christians, if I for some reason passed away and they passed away, which we all will, that now we'd all be together in heaven. And I remember telling that to my mom. And I was excited because we'd all be together. That value of family that was given to me in a sense when I was 2 now became a bigger reality. And so at the age of 6, that's what I remember. Do I remember everything else about Christianity? No. But I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that if I were to die, I'd be going to heaven. Fast forward to when I was 9, 3 years later. My sister and I actually got baptized on the same day, which for us was a public proclamation of an inward reality in believers' baptism. And so on that Sunday, we got baptized, stating to the world that we were Christians. And I held tenaciously to that vision of truly identifying myself as a Christian. And to me, that was a big, big deal, because I was letting everybody know of what I valued, faith and family, and that my freedom in Christ was a big deal to me. And then fast forward in 3 years, now I'm 12. And what was I holding to tenaciously, you ask? After all, leaders must learn to adjust their plans while holding tenaciously to the vision. What vision was I holding to? One that 6 years ago, I had firmly put my faith in Jesus Christ. Did I know exactly what my plans were going to be? No, but I knew this, that I would be in ministry and serving the Lord with my life somehow, some way, some capacity. Did I know exactly what that looked like yet? No, but I knew that I needed to be in ministry-related professions. And so that's what I was giving my life to when I was 12. And that is exactly the stories that aren't told exactly in my book, but I have later come to find out how my vision was shaped and how I needed to truly hold on to something tenaciously. I also know that in my book, in the early years, it states, wilderness to the people of America is a spiritual necessity, an antidote to the high pressures of modern life, the means of regaining serenity and equilibrium. Sigrid Olson in the Wilderness Society. I also know that the heavens declared the glory of God, and the skies proclaim the work of his hands. Psalm 19, verse 1. Now again, I'm not going to read my book. It's written. You can find it and get it if you want it. But the point of this presentation is to truly help you just understand the vision of this book and how Relax, Reflect, and Rejuvenate has helped me over the years. And when you look at these 3 pictures, completely different areas of the world that I've been in, where do you literally travel to? Do you let it wash over your soul? of anything that I've literally said, because honestly, you can choose to accept or reject anything I've said. It's got to hit your conscious awareness, and you can choose to accept or reject anything based upon the programming that you've been given. If it runs into some of your programming and you just choose to let it fly out, that's your choice. But maybe some of what I've said actually hits home to you, and it's starting to hit your emotional side. And it's causing some angst. And you have to either let it go back, or it's starting to bump up against and hit some emotional centers in you. And you have to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to walk through that emotional center, that terror, that barrier, that wall, and you're going to try to get to freedom? If you have any questions along those lines, feel free and let me know. Post comments back. I'll check it and get back to you. But you have to decide if you want to get to freedom. And this book walks you through my process in a sense of what I've done day in and day out, ever since way back when. I've held to a vision tenaciously, but I've had to learn how to adjust my plans while holding to that vision. After high school, I went off to college and I started the years of identity. Now, I did go and fulfill my mission. I literally am from Minnesota, and this is the Mississippi River. And yes, I've walked up and down and across the Mississippi, but not when it was this wide or this deep. At the headwaters of the Mississippi, it's not very wide, it's not very deep. But when I went off to Bible college out in Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, at what is now Summit University, I took on a world of identification and a world of identity. And I understood more and more and more about me. And it was during those years that Dustin's own faith grew as he studied many different Bible passages for various classes. It was during those years that Dustin was able to read great books like Knowing God by J.I. Packer, The Purpose-Driven Youth Ministry by Doug Fields, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, and many other commentaries on the books of the Bible, such as Romans, John, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Joshua, Genesis, and many others. Through practical application of class material, chapel services, and hands-on ministry training, Dustin's faith grew to the point where he had to acknowledge how his own passions were aligning themselves with his journey. My friends, when your passions start aligning themselves with the vibrational frequencies of the world, that's when life becomes really interesting. Because that's when the universe and you start having vibrational frequencies, which are all energy. And God created energy and all the natural laws. When everything starts meshing like that, that's when things become really, really cool. And when life happens like that, that's when you start living an adventure. And every man is called to have an adventure and a battle to fight and a beauty to fight for. Now, don't just stereotype those things. I'll tell you more where I get those from in a minute. Because, my friends, after my college years, I searched for that first ministry position. I searched far and wide, from Pennsylvania to Pueblo, Colorado, up Midwest, and I landed out in Washington State as a volunteer with the Christian Ministry and the National Parks Association, serving in the campground amphitheaters at Mount Rainier National Park while working with the concessionaire industry in Mount Rainier. I would have never have guessed in my wildest imagination that I would literally be serving Christ while holding on to my vision of being in the wilderness. I'll never forget when I actually was preaching in one of the campground amphitheaters at Ohanapagosh. Or no, actually, this was up at Sunrise. And somebody said, "Look, out there, there's a black bear across the ravine." Oh, okay, guess I'll stop my sermon for a few minutes. And there it was. black bear out across the ravine, a long way, in a sense, a long ways away from us, just munching. So we watched it for a little bit. We weren't in harm's way, don't worry. And then we got back to the service. What I found at Mount Rainier was that the whole art of teaching, all the stuff that I had been through at Bible college, and what I had just kind of experienced in life with backpacking with mom and dad, in the sense of just day pack, as well as hiking, as well as biking, as well as many other things growing up, that the whole art of teaching is only the art of awakening the natural curiosity of young minds for the purpose of satisfying it afterwards. Curiosity of young minds, waking it? When I was at Mount Rainier, I read a book, and I had my pencils or pens, and I had my Bible. And I also found out that I wasn't geared necessarily just for a traditional youth ministry in a church type position. And that the Lord was using me literally in a different capacity. He was combining my love of the outdoors with youth ministry and bringing me to a point where I was supposed to somehow combine these two. I didn't know exactly how. I didn't know. But what I found out in between my first year out there and my second year out there is that I should pursue outdoor related master's program. And so when I went back my second season at Rainier, I went back not volunteering with the Christian ministry in the National Parks Association, but actually volunteering with the National Park Service as a backcountry ranger, because now I was pursuing a master's in natural resource management. And I'm like, cool, I get to go back to Rainier because they wanted me back in the concession because it was the 100th year anniversary of the parks, so the centennial celebration. And the concessionaire asked if I could come back because they wanted their best foot forward, which means I did my job and I did it so well that they wanted me back. So I went back out. And I was thrilled to be back. And I volunteered, like I said, as a backcountry ranger that year, but I went with the intent of actually studying natural resource management so that I could do things in the outdoors and still do ministry. I stayed through the winter of 2000. And I stayed through February when then I was going to head out to the Badlands National Park in South Dakota, and I was going to have a full internship. Well, it didn't work out as long as I thought it would, and I ended up back in Austin for a little while, back at home base, and then went out to the University of Montana, Missoula, because that's where my correspondence courses were my second season out at Rainier. Well, long and short of it, I found out as rugged as the landscape is in Montana, so are the economics. It just didn't work to be able to find something that would work while I could go to school. Holding tenaciously to the plans. Holding tenaciously to the plan, literally. Of the vision, I should say, of being in ministry. I was like, Lord, you told me to combine my love of the outdoors. That was the plan. But I can't go back to school out here at the University of Montana. So then what, Lord? How is this going to be adjusted? Lord, this is what you told me. Now it's like not going to happen. And so I came back to this whole idea of awakening. Lord, you told me this. I can't forsake it. But yet, Lord, it didn't work out. Then what? So I came back to the Twin Cities, and I ended up finding work at the end of 2000. That was with the telecom industry. They ended up getting bought out the end of 2000, 2001. I started a new position, and then something else happened in 2001. Now, you probably all in America, at least, would think, yep, we know what happened in 2001. But for me, that's not what I have to tell you. I ended up with colorectal cancer as a 26-year-old male. That changed my world and sent me down a completely different track. That was the years of a side journey which led eventually to an extended study. And I said to the Lord, okay, Lord, I'm in your shelter. I will rest in your shadow. I will say you are my refuge and my fortress, in whom I will trust. Lord, I'm on your side. I believe that what I said in 1981 as a 6-year-old is true. I will make it through this. I will glorify you. I will honor you. And then what I said when I was 9, as a public profession, I will still hold to. And when it was 12, Lord, I trusted in it. I believe in it yet. But Lord, you've got me in this position. I know you've got me in your hands. So Lord, I trust you. I don't know what this looks like, but I trust you. He pulled me through that. So then 2002, I ended up going back to school. 2005, I graduated from the University of Minnesota with a master's in outdoor education. 2005 to 2007, 8, I searched for different positions in outdoor education. Whether it was in Christian ministry or whether it was in the secular adventure therapy world, I tried many different things. Eventually, I landed back out in Washington State with an Christian adventure organization that worked with at-risk youth. I realized that once again, I must learn to accomplish great things. I must not only act, but I also needed to keep dreaming and not only plan, but also believe. I also, when I graduated from my master's program, started to do nature photography and fine art photography. And it was great. I loved it. But I also had in my dreams to still do ministry because I gave my life to the Lord and dedicated myself to him. And so all this time I was still believing tenaciously to that vision and pursuing it, but learning to truly adapt and adjust the plan. In 2008, I did that very thing. And I ended up at Washington State. And honestly, Youth Dynamics is a great program. I made good connections from that still to this day have impacted me in many ways. And the stories are in the book. You can read them if you'd like. But the fact is, it just didn't work out for me the way that I thought it should. And so I came back to home base in Austin, Minnesota. And honestly, I wrote my book in Austin while I was substitute teaching. And why did I pick up substitute teaching? For a couple of reasons. One, I love kids, and that was part of my vision. And I stayed true to my vision. But I also knew that my vision mattered and that I had given myself to serving others and helping them. And because I had a master's in education, I was like, there's always going to be a need for substitute teachers. Why not do that? And so that's what I did. And I'll never forget the process of writing my book. It was great. I also volunteered in different youth ministry capacities down in southern Minnesota too, in Austin. And I love that because I truly I had a passion that was incredible for it. And I still do. I love working with youth. And I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. But the fact is, I wrote my book in 2008. I went to write a book. It's done. But obviously, I continued on. And so the rest of the story goes along this line. 2008, the years of changing plans. 2008 to about 2012. I ended up teaching, like I was saying, and I wrote my book. 2008 to 2010 in May, I was teaching. And I truly loved it. I was in 5 different districts: Albert Lea, Austin, Blooming Prairie, Lisle, and Southland. And honestly, it was great. I loved being around the kids. It was exciting. I made a difference in lives, and it was just a lot of fun. But I realized that I needed to be a better steward of everything, and to be able to give more and do more, I needed to grow and become more. So I took on the years of doing Life Touch Church Directory and portraits. And honestly, they were good years. I was able to do more portraiture, and I loved it, and actually became good at it. But I also knew in 2010 that Mom had taken somehow and gotten, I should say, uterine cancer. And so by 2012, at the end, towards the end, and I had done my nature and fine art photography too, and we had done it kind of as a family. But the fact of the matter is, I was told by the Lord to end my own photography business into the end of 2012 and end on a high note. And I was told by the Lord to get off the road to be able to spend 2013 in Austin, even though it was going to be a sacrifice. And I knew that the pressure was coming. And when you're squeezed, what do? You get your real values. You get your identity. You get what's really in you to come out. And what was in me is what was given to me when I was 2, when I was 6, when I was 9, when I was 12, when I graduated high school, when I graduated college, and when I graduated from my master's program. All of those things came rushing back to me in 2012. So I got off the road, took a job that was less than what I really wanted, and helped out around the home. We lost Mom in 2013. Dad got remarried in 2014, and I moved up to the Twin Cities. So why do I put a picture that I took at one of the jobs when I came back to the cities that was literally about family first and forever? Because that was what was implanted in me way back when. So after 14, and I was back up here in the cities, 15, 16, I took a job with National American University in recruitment. Were these jobs really career related? No. Did they give me what I needed at the time? Yes. Did I have to adjust my plans? Yes. Did I go through the relax, reflect, and rejuvenate process, otherwise known as be still and know that I am God? Yes. Did I end up volunteering in different ministry capacities still? Yes. I ended up then going to United Healthcare for another year. And again, it wasn't a position that was just career related. I got a job to get a job. But one thing that was really cool is that while I was working at United Health, or at National American University, and into my time at United Healthcare, is that I ended up still being in the network marketing industry. And I ended up dating another gal from southern Minnesota, and she had a little boy. And honestly, the three of us got along real well, and I was just about going to marry her, and it didn't work out. And that was also while I was at United Healthcare. And at United Healthcare, I ended up meeting another lady and another guy, and the three of us got along real well. So much so that I invited them both eventually to some of my Toastmasters speeches. Because as a public speaker, I wanted to be involved in that sort of thing. And in Toastmasters, I had a lot of fun. And I started to become more alive again and get some of my regular patterns back and my excitement and my joy and my life back. And so I brought these other two because they seemed like they needed some life and some joy and some excitement in their life. Long and short of it, I told you I didn't continue on with that one relationship, but the gal that I brought to Toastmasters, it's a solid relationship. Matter of fact, we're looking towards the fall time in 2020 to actually get married. And the other guy, he's still with us and having a lot of fun with us too. So again, I started to bring other people around and help them become better. And long and short of it is we're all becoming better because of it. Then I ended up having a job with Career Code for a little while, which led me to eventually getting my certification for life coaching with the International Coaching Federation approved program. And what am I super excited about is that all of this, my friends, has led me to another whole avenue of life that literally, when I think of it, started with a journal that my mother started in 1975. Again, a book from my son, Dustin, To Write As I Desire, Christmas, 1975. Having also hoped to write something for publishing someday. Maybe can begin this way, it should be fun. I never would have known that. 2008. Relax, Reflect, and Rejuvenate is dedicated to my parents, Arnold and Jean DeBoer, and my pa and grandma, Sid and Lillian Felty, who have inspired me to accept life not as it is, but rather reach for the extraordinary life available to all who ask. They also built into me a love of the outdoors and photography. Thank you, Pa and Grandma, and my parents, for all you have done for me. I hope to give to others what you have given to me. 2018 literally led me down a path that then was the beginning of being a coachpreneur. What on earth is a coachpreneur, you ask? It's an entrepreneur that also has the skills and the ability to be a coach and to do it at significant levels, that can teach, that can coach, that can speak, that can train, that does behavior analysis, and eventually can play the leadership game. That can also, my friends, adjust their plans while holding tenaciously to a vision. Because now I have my coaching certification for International Coaching Federation approved. I am also a John Maxwell team member, and I got introduced to John Maxwell in 2012 through the network marketing industry by attending a conference with him. And matter of fact, let me show you this part, because honestly, in 2012, I went to a conference with the Amway business for leadership team development and saw John in person. And when I saw John in person, I would have never have dreamt how big of an influence he was on me in 2012, because I followed him ever since. And this book changed my life. I've read it like 3-4 times now. And what's really cool is I decided I'm going to take the gamble and I'm going to stand in line and actually wait to get him to sign it. Now I have 3 books signed by him, because in 2019, I actually became a John Maxwell team member. And now I'm a disc trainer with the John Maxwell team. And I actually went through and did my speaker training and got that last in May. I'm also a Save Your Marriage Before It Starts certified team member and coach to save marriage before it starts. Because if we can actually build strong, stable husbands and wives and family units before they actually get married, we can actually take care of a lot of the chaos that's gone on in America and around the world. And now in August, I am actually going to be a fully certified John Maxwell team member because I'm going to attend the International Maxwell certification event via the live stream that they're having because of COVID. I actually am already a certified youth facilitator with them and a world changer through that. I'm already also a parenting and family coach with them and an agent of change. My friends, but what I am asking you again is, now that I've gone through all of this, the point of today's presentation is that Relax, Reflect, and Rejuvenate, the story of Solid Rock photography, is in a contest. And what I am asking you is actually so simple. So simple. That I need your help. This book has been reborn. I didn't ask to be in this contest. It was brought to me, literally. This bit.ly link that you see in front of you is the one that is down in the actual description. There is no way I can win this contest on my own. I need your help. And then, my friends, would you be so kind as to find 1, 2, 3 of your friends that would actually like this based on the fact that they know, like, and trust you. And if you recommend it, they would. This message of relax and reflect and rejuvenate. Yes, it's my story, but the message that we all need to go through this process and look at life and understand what our story means a bigger and bigger and bigger stage to play on and to help people understand their story. And it needs likes on a Facebook page. Let me share with you what this looks like on a computer. Because honestly, it's different on a computer than it is on a phone. And so this is what it looks like actually on a computer. And therefore, all it is, here, let me stop the screen or the video feed. There you go. You can see that I have many likes to go because that's 60. Okay, that's my book. Now let me flip over to this other tab. Here is where the leader is. And honestly, this looks like it could be a great book too. Imagining Jesus practicing the presence of God for children. Honestly, it's cool that both books that are in the lead, this is first place, I'm in second. But again, excuse me, the way the book contest is run, one is by likes, one is by content of book. And I am going to be sending my manuscript off to the actual publisher here in just a little bit. But now let me show you what it's like on the actual mobile side, because it's different on mobile. So let me plug my phone in so that you can actually see it on the mobile side. Okay, so give me 1 second here and I'll show you that. There we go. Now, when you click the link below on the description, it'll probably take you to this. At least that's my guess. That's what it's done before. And then what you're going to have to do is scroll down to where it actually shows photos by Lagaya Books. Click See All. And then more than likely, it is down here in this see all. Now, obviously my book is sitting right there, and then click it. And then you can see that I have 60 total likes. And yes, I liked my own book to get this process started. There you go, my friends. That is literally how you have to do it. And so I thank you so much for taking this time. I hope it's been valuable to you. I hope you've been encouraged that I'm truly about helping other people excel in faith, family, and freedom so that you can be a real success on the stage of life that matters most, your front door. And what I need is a place for relax, reflect, and rejuvenate to have a bigger stage to play on. I'd love your vote for my book. It's your choice. It's up to you. And then I'd like to have 1, 2, or 3 of your friends like my book too. Thank you guys. And if you like this video, feel free. I'll be doing more of them in the future. I look forward to doing them and visiting with you. If you have a comment or two, feel free to post it below. Thanks, you guys. We'll talk with you another time. Have a great one. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.